Welcome back to the Michigan Football Network. And today, the transfer portal has been open for 5 days officially. So we're starting to see some real movement here. Obviously, there's been a ton of transfer portal movement throughout college football, but we will not be talking about that today because holy crap, there has been so many different players moving around and doing different things. So I think it would probably take until noon tomorrow if we started right now to even just list everyone. So with that being said, Michigan transfer portal has been, I would say, lackluster through this process right now. Obviously, listen, I know they've been doing a very good job of keeping guys. I know that. And I mean, Jordan Marshall and Guarnera just, decided to come back within a few hours of this podcast. But I feel like, I was expecting a little bit more outside movement coming in with our new head coach, guys from Utah and maybe BYU, because, we just did get their defensive coordinator. Um, but it just hasn't really happened. And that's not to say it won't. I mean, there's still a lot of, players available. But it's like I mentioned before with like NFL free agency, it's like the first few days, a lot of the big names move. Obviously, there's still a lot of talent available though, so Michigan could, go out and get somebody, but we'll see what happens with that because I personally am not going to set myself up to get excited for us to go get some, good players and big names and it not happen. Whittingham, I feel like I don't know if it would be that crazy for him to kind of just roll the dice next year with what we have and see where the chips may fall. I guess is the best way to put it. But with that being said, we did get a new long snapper, so there has been some movement for Michigan. But in total, obviously Bryce Underwood, Andrew Marsh, Barry, and like I said, Guarnera and Jordan Marshall today. Justice Haynes is another one to keep your eye on because there is a chance he comes back to Michigan. And obviously, that's been a big talking point, throughout this process so far. And like I mentioned, Marshall is back, so we at least have one of our two-headed monster backfield. So I do think they will get some more guys, especially like I mentioned from Utah and BYU, simply because they brought those coaches over, and I think those guys, want to play for those guys, and especially if you're going to Michigan. I mean, that's a step up if you're a player going from BYU or Utah to Michigan. So, but with that being said, what are your thoughts so far on Michigan's transfer portal?
I excuse me. I like it overall, but as you said, it was kind of lackluster in terms of acquiring new talent. But I feel like we did quite a good job of keeping what talent we had. And like I said, I'm kind of neutral on Underwood. I don't want to give up on the guy or make this go into a 5-minute rant about him, but I'm not going to put him on that pedestal like I did when he was an incoming freshman, because he came in with so much hype. Now, to me at least, he's okay. Like I'm fine with you staying, but you got to prove it, man.
Right.
The Jordan Marshall news is news to me. Um, I can see it now here. 28 minutes ago, it was tweeted out at least by the one source I have up, and that is fantastic news because, as you mentioned, it keeps one of our two-headed giants. We're getting another giant with hitter from the high school ranks, and then if we can keep Justice Hayes, we might have a three-headed giant that college football I don't think has ever seen. Because
Well, I don't know, man. If you go back and look at Alabama when they had like Derrick Henry, uh, actually, matter of fact, keep going and I'll look it up
fair
because
enough,
I remember that backfield being insane.
fair enough. I think Mark Ingram was over there too, but I would
And somebody
take
else, maybe T.J. Yeldon, I think, who was also in the NFL. But yeah,
I would
anyway,
take any of the three backs from Michigan over Yeldon, but
valid.
I might take Henry over anyone else. So
Yeah.
it might wash out there. But excuse me.
Okay, and that was exactly the bet. Damian Harris and Kenyon Drake as well. That's
Okay, that
stacked, brother.
yeah, adding Drake that makes it a 4. Maybe if we kept Coach Ball,
Five
but
NFL players, man. That's nuts.
yeah, that is an insane back. Okay, so one of the best three-headed monsters college football has ever seen, corrected after 20 seconds, and
And to be fair, though, I don't think they necessarily got used that way in college at Alabama, the
they
way that
did,
they
and
probably will be at
especially
Michigan.
in the more modern, I was gonna say NFL, but college, you do more of a rotation anyways now than you did back then. So
Hmm.
that room was deeper, but probably like you mentioned, I'm curious on how many carries like running back 3 got. Um, but prior to his injury, Hayes was leading the NCAA in rushing yards. So
Yep.
I'm and Hitter's kind of the running. I don't want to set him up for failure with this statement, but Hitter's kind of the running back version of Underwood. Like he's coming in
Yeah.
as a 5-star running back. He's coming in with all this hype. And if Hayes comes back, Marshall's already officially back. It is weird seeing the wording of the tweet saying that Marshall has agreed to a new deal with Michigan. I know that's just the NIL era, but
Hmm.
okay. Um, so we don't even know if Hayes comes back, if Hitter's going to get how many carries, or if he's going to be relied upon early on. But he's obviously a game changer, or at least coming in with that pedigree.
Hmm.
And Marsh coming back for receiver, yeah, I think is a big bump. Personally, I think he's a bigger, I don't want to say addition because we just keep him, but a bigger returning player than Underwood in terms of. I'm getting a lot of echo feedback. Sorry. I'm like,
Oh.
if I can hear it, I know it records that way.
Hmm. Is it still doing it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, drop out and come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, with that being said, I was just about to say that I do want Haynes back. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know, man. I kind of want to see what Hyder's got because that dude, his high school tape is just nuts, man. Like some about running backs that were 5 stars in high school coming into college, like their high school tape is so disgusting. It's just insane to me. Like their high school tape, it looks like they're a grown man playing against children. I'm just describing what a five
Is this
star
Hitter?
running back looks like. Yes. I'm describing
Oh,
what
yeah.
any five
Oh, no,
star running back
echoes. I
looks
don't hear
like.
it anymore.
Okay, cool. Because like, dude, any 5 star running back specifically, like obviously all the 5 stars are dominant, but like what some about running backs, their film in high school just looks like unhuman. Like it's insane how good they
Absolutely.
look.
And I'm glad you pointed that out. God, I'm so much better without the echo. I've ignored it in past podcasts, and then when I watch it back, I'm like, why the hell did I not say anything? So,
Yeah, good
okay, we
point.
got that fixed. Sorry about that. But I do think Marsh is a bigger retaining player than Underwood just because he was already making plays as a freshman. And I could be wrong, but um, I feel like if you put enough pieces around even an average quarterback, and I'm not saying Underwood's an average quarterback, but if he doesn't take that next step further, if the pieces around him do, then we can still have success as a team,
Yeah,
especially
and
with our running backs.
I mean, okay. I don't necessarily think that that's a crazy thing to say, but I think I do disagree simply because like Underwood still has the potential to be elite, like genuinely. And
Yeah.
I know I've talked about it many times on this podcast. He hasn't flashed enough. But I am going to give literally everyone on the Michigan football team a fucking mulligan for last year based on what happened, okay? Because like
Fair.
what I'm based on everything I've heard, it was just absolute shit show train wreck and they still won 9 games, okay? I mean, that blows my mind. But I am not so far out on Underwood as you are. In the way that it's like, whatever if we kept him. I do think it was necessary that we keep him. I think if he leaves, things were going downhill. I think that
Oh, look,
signals a lot more guys leaving as well.
yeah, he's definitely got like the Heisman potential. Like he's got
Mhm.
potential to be a top 5 NFL pick, but he's got to get there. And to be honest, I was not thinking about how much of a shit show the coaching staff and whatnot was with all the behind the scenes stuff. So I guess I can at least take it with a grain of salt, looking back at it with that perspective. Um, and hopefully this new staff can get it out of him because
Hmm.
his, for what it's worth, his high school film was nothing but flashes, like elite. And that's why I'm like, I was full in on the hype train. I was leading the hype train. And then I'm like, I just can't lie. And on Saturdays when I was watching him, it wasn't there. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, with everything going on, because I do feel like he played a little bit better in the games that Moore was suspended for, oddly enough, and I do remember saying that even at the time. Let's see what Winningham and his staff can get out of him.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm most excited about right now is that we did a complete overhaul of the coaching staff. Like obviously we kept a few guys, but for the most part, these are new coaches coming in here, and most of them are coming straight from Utah. So guys that Whittingham, he knows, he trusts, they are on the same page already. Like that's the thing I like about college more than like say the NFL is, in the NFL, like Ben Johnson, for instance, yeah, you'll take a couple guys from the staff that you left, but like you're not really going to take most of those guys to honestly. And a part of it is a respect thing. You don't want to raid your ex team's coaching staff, but when it's a guy like Whittingham, when you're the head coach that leaves, I don't understand why guys don't like let's say John Harbaugh. Why wouldn't he take his OC and DC with him wherever he goes unless he doesn't like him, I guess. But point being, like, I feel good about this coaching staff, and I feel like they are going to be able to get the most out of these players. I feel like we did a really good job getting an outside defensive coordinator. Whittingham brought in his own OC that has had success throughout his career. So I'm excited. However, I'm not going to get too excited because you never know. And we are also in this weird limbo right now, like we talk about with the transfer portal, where not a lot of movement is happening. So we're going to kind of wait and see in the next, I think it's open for 10 more days or something like that, something along those lines. I think it closes the 17th. I might be incorrect on that though. But point being, we still have time. We still have some
Yep.
time to make some moves and figure things out going forward. So I will say, looking back at like a month ago, Michigan football is looking pretty positive. So that's a good thing. But with that being said, moving on to Michigan State, similar things over there. They're doing a little bit more in the transfer portal. They have a handful of guys coming in that will probably start. Honestly, like Fitzgerald has been doing a pretty good job over there, getting a couple. Sophomores. That's what I that's what I would do if I were a coach. I would be going after good sophomores in the transfer portal because then if they stay, you got them for 2-3 years if they stay that entire time. But um, you know, Aiden Childs left to Northwestern, as I'm sure everyone has saw or seen by now. Going back to Fitzgerald's old team, which is kind of ironic, I think. But with that being said, that's not that big of a loss for Michigan State because they already had their quarterback, I think, going forward, and they brought another one in. Sounds like they're going to bring another one in too, so they're kind of making a real competition over there. So I like what I'm seeing from Michigan State. I do think they're still going to struggle in 2026 because, like we talked about last week and in weeks prior, Michigan State needs a big revamp of talent, man. And Nick Marsh left. They've dropped off a few good players too. So not only do they have to replace what they're missing right now, they also have to try to replace the holes that they had last year. So it's going to be a tough road going forward, but I think in the same thing as Michigan, it's looking positive at least, and it looks like they're going to be able to do something good over there. But with that being said, do you have anything on Michigan State before we move on?
Oh no, you covered it fairly well. The only thing I was gonna say, which, like I said, you kind of covered, but just to put my spin on it, is they need to, as you mentioned, overhaul completely. Not only just because of the staff change, as you mentioned, but they need to kind of try to find their identity because they were
Hmm.
not a, and once again, I know they changed staffs, but they were not like a pass team or a run team. They really didn't have that go-to identity.
Hmm.
And
And I mean, even in the past, defensively, they've always been really physical. Like every Michigan State team I can remember has always been super physical. didn't really see that as much.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, hopefully this new staff, or maybe they go offensive minded, whatever. It's up to obviously them, and whichever recruits they can get out of the portal and whatnot. But it's probably going to be, um, I hate to say the words, but a 2 to 3 year rebuild. And it's kind of a weird thing to say in this era of the transfer portal because 80% of your team can change every year now. So.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, Michigan had, 20 guys leave. Michigan State had around 35, I believe. Like, just a lot of, I mean, even Ohio State had 20 guys transfer out. Like,
Yeah.
just, and I say even Ohio State. I say that because they are one of, they were a top five team in college football all season. So it's just going to happen to everybody. It doesn't matter if
Yep.
you're Alcorn State or Ohio State. They're leaving, baby.
Yeah, they
I
have a
don't know.
five-star receiver go in the portal today.
Yeah,
So,
they also had or wait, no, I think I'm thinking the same player. Because I think I saw that a few days ago maybe. But I remember
one hit the
there.
portal and then Tate went declared for the draft, which I mean was obvious but now official.
Right, right. Yeah, the 5-star though, I was excited. I was like, maybe Michigan can get that because we need receivers, man. That's like we just need receivers bad.
Yeah.
And we've needed them forever. I mean, dude, the last good Michigan receiver, like it obviously at Michigan, we had oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm spacing his name. Went to the Steelers. Roman Wilson. We had Roman Wilson, who is pretty good, but it's like before that, Nico Collins.
I say I'm like, don't forget about Nico Collins.
Yeah, Nico
I'm
Collins,
like,
and
if
then
I want to go
before
way
him,
back, Braylon Edwards.
right, right, right. But and
But
Nico
he
Collins
was the
took a
dominant
while.
at Michigan because Nico
Right.
Collins was good. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but he's for some reason somehow, props to him, better at the NFL level than he was at the college level. Like he was
Hmm.
pretty good at Michigan, but I mean he's top five, top 10, top
Yeah.
five for pushing it, top 10 at the NFL level, and
Which, to be fair to him, I mean, I think his quarterback was Joe Milton, if I can remember correctly. Maybe I might be
a mixture
misremembering, but
between him and
Rudock?
who is that?
No.
Rudock. Yes, I'm like, who's the guy
Yeah,
we
it
got
was.
from Iowa? Rudock. Yeah.
Like, man,
Jeez.
sorry, brother. I wonder why you weren't too good here. But anyway, with that being said, kind of sum up both Michigan and Michigan State. Things are looking positive. Things are looking up. We have something to be excited about. In Michigan State, man, that new freaking, stadium. I've been to Michigan State's arena, their stadium a few times. I might as well be an arena with, how things go there. Anyway, um, I've been to their stadium a handful of times, and like I like it. Don't get me wrong, but you can definitely tell it's a little outdated. So that new massive stadium that I keep seeing all over the place is gonna be nuts. I'm excited to see what that's gonna be like, but I'm not excited to see what the ticket prices are gonna be like because they're gonna try to get that money back. Um, but anyway, moving on to the NFL, which you know what, we actually have something positive to say for the Detroit Lions, sort of pseudo positive, I guess you could say. Depends on who you are, I guess. Depends on what your outlook is because we beat the Bears. We're 2-0 against Ben. Excuse me. We're 2-0 against Ben Johnson. I mean, hey, if only we would have beat the Steelers or the Vikings, we would be in the playoffs right now. That's the thing I've been seeing a lot of Lions fans talking about is, oh, we should, oh, this shouldn't happen. The Panthers shouldn't make it in the playoffs. We should be making it. Da, da, da. We should have won more fucking games, buddy. I don't know what else you want me to say. Like that's where we're at. I'm so over the excuses from people. It's like, no, we should have. We lost to the Vikings and they had 3 fucking passing yards. I don't know if that's ever happened before. Like, that is insane to me. 3 passing yards net. And we lost by 13, by the way. Not just like 6-3. We lost 23-10 to that.
And
Insane.
I know it wasn't deemed a fair game in the public's eye, but we lost to KC who didn't even make the playoffs. So I mean, any of those games would have flipped it for us. So
Exactly. And I'm just looking at it like we didn't deserve it this year. It is what it is.
correct. Yeah.
Hopefully we can, do some things in the off season, but we'll talk about that, a little bit later as, things unravel. But going into the game, there was a couple things that I needed to see. and I felt like they did a decent job doing it. I wanted to see better run game, and we definitely did that. I mean, we had what, a total of 122 rushing yards, which isn't amazing. It's not like, the peak Lions, but Jameer Gibbs had 80 yards on 19 carries, average for 4.2, and Montgomery had 42 yards on 8 carries, average of 5.2. So both of our guys averaged over 4 yards a carry, and Monty had over 5. So I'm not mad at that. I know the total yardage might not look that sexy, but it is what it is, man. I'm not going to complain. The I will say one thing that I didn't really love is Ratledge did not play center. I was hoping that was going to happen. Did not happen. But I guess I'm not too upset about that. I am kind of curious, like what the plan is with him and Frazier going forward, because I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not. I can't remember. I know I've been talking about it on Twitter a lot, but I think Miles Frazier might be able to play left tackle for us if Decker leaves. He played left tackle, I think 12. He started at left tackle 12 times at LSU and at right tackle twice. So he can definitely do it. And he's built just like Penei Sewell. He's 6'6, 325 with 32 and three-quarter-inch arms. And Penei Sewell is 6'5, 335 with 33-inch arms. So they're like very similar builds. So do I think that I want to rely on Frazier to play left tackle? Not necessarily, but if he can do it and he's shown he can do it, I don't see why not. I mean, that saves us from having to take a tackle in the top, 20. And then we could go get that center later on in the draft because there are going to be a decent amount of those available. So, but with that being said, I would have liked to see a little bit more of Frazier. I know Mahogany's our guy, but I want to see what we got out of the younger guys, man. I know Mahogany's young too, but damn, like I need to see Frazier out there more because of exactly what I just said. And I also, was on the bandwagon that we needed to win this game for morale. I know a lot of fans were saying we need to lose this game for draft pick. And I get that. I do 100% because as a fan, you're just thinking about how can we get better for next season to, get better talent wise to win that Super Bowl. I'm thinking about it though, like if they lose again, some guys might just totally, clock out and be like, all right, man, something ain't right. So I am glad that we won this game overall. And Tesla got his thing going. I think he had what? He had 1 for 18. And I would have liked to. I for some reason thought he had 3 catches. I think that was last week.
Had his thing going 1 catch.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
But
okay.
no,
It's okay.
Amon Ra got his
He
thing
had
going.
110 at halftime.
Yeah, 139 total, which is weird because it seemed like both games where Amon Ra was just going berserk the first half. The second half, he doesn't do shit. It's like, and I'm not blaming him, don't get me wrong, but it's like that defense obviously started keying on him. So why aren't we getting the balls peppered around? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was the Rams was the other game that he had like 130
That
yards in the
sounds about
first
right.
half. And I say only, he ended with 160. So that means he only had 30 yards in the second half. It's like, I wonder, what big difference was made there.
Yeah, they might have keyed him, and then we just went away from it.
Yeah, but that's my thing is it's like it doesn't seem like we're really getting completions elsewhere. So I don't really understand,
I
how
don't
that
have the
happened.
box score in front of me. Just off memory, I believe JMO had a pretty good game.
I know JMO did. I'm just saying in
Okay.
general, like in general, when it comes to Amon Ra, like JMO had 6 for 74, Raymond had 3 for 52, so they did a good job of it this last game. But it seems like Amon Ra is like our offense, and when Amon Ra ain't going, it ain't going too well. And obviously, since Dan took over, JMO has been getting a lot more, uh, looks in general, which is really nice. But with that being said, we did beat the Bears, so that means they dropped in seeding. But I think we helped them by doing that because now they're playing the Packers, and I think they're going to beat them, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I just feel like we did a lot better this game, but that second half, I was shaking in my boots, brother. I can't lie to you. I was like, are we really about to drop this right now?
There would have been not a more perfect way to end the season than if we blew that in terms of all-time low morale. That would have been a same old Lions game. That would have
Mm-hmm.
been. And like I said, I was on here. I wouldn't mind if we lost just for the draft pick and the ramifications from that and stuff. But I would never actively root against my team. And when we were up and blowing that lead slowly but surely after the two touchdowns, the two two-point conversions,
Yeah.
I was pulling what little hair I have out. So I'm glad we were able to hold on and win.
Dude, and then when we were able to when we gave them the ball back with like 5 minutes left, I was like, oh, we're so fucked. I literally was telling my girlfriend, I looked over, I was like, we just lost, by the way. I just want you to know that. We just lost this game. And then we got the ball back, and I was like, oh, shit, all right, maybe not.
Yeah, they had all the momentum at that point, so props on our defense for stepping up when we needed them most.
Yeah, and I think Shepard did a really good job this week. I mean, obviously they put up 16 points in the second half, but I mean that Bears offense has been prolific all season. Like,
Yeah, 16 points total for the game is not that big of a deal. I know they all came in the second half, but if you're telling me you hold a team to 16 points in the NFL, I am 99.9% of the time expecting a win. Unless it was the Eagles, because we only had 9 points that game. But
right.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was a 16-9 finish. But
Yep.
yeah, okay. So yeah, most of the time I would expect to win that game. But if I'm not mistaken, I have the box score pulled up here. Yeah, Maddox had that interception, and then how many sacks did we have? I know Hutch had one.
One, I think.
Oh, that was it. Okay, Hutch had his one, which I had been having a little bit of a field day on social media with a lot of the Hutch posts I've seen because I mean, I'm sure you've seen them being online. That a certain, not all Lions fans, a certain section of Lions fans were saying like Aiden Hutchinson's a ghost this year. Is he even on the field?
I love it when people who don't watch the games talk about the fucking game that we all just watched, and it's like, bro, we just saw him dominate. It's like just because he didn't sack the quarterback doesn't mean he wasn't dominating. And look, there were a couple games, man, I'm not going to lie, that I was like, damn, Hutch, I didn't really notice you too much today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and that happens. But when you're getting triple teamed and chipped and doubled and chipped, it's like, dude, you can't, like, somebody else needs to get a sack. And I'll tell you, that's why Al-Qadim Muhammad had such a good season. Look, man, I don't mean any disrespect to you, Al-Qadim Muhammad, but before you came here, you were a practice squad journeyman, like you were bouncing around the league. You come here and you're a dog. Like, obviously that's partially because of you, and credit to you for keep working. You're 30 freaking years old. You just had the best season of your life, 11 sacks in the NFL. But that has a lot of credit needs to go to the guy on the other side that's commanding the triple team. Like, come on.
The majority of that. No offense
Right.
to Muhammad.
Right. And I mean all the blitzes and different things that Shepard cooks up, which I think is the best part of him as our defensive coordinator. I mean, dude, all year we were talking shit about our pass rush, right? We were top
Some
10 in
people
sacks. I mean, everybody was, I feel like. Everybody was.
I was a defender just because I am so, and I've been called out on it, but I don't care. So analytically driven because we were top 5 in sacks and top 5 in pressures.
But like
So-
that goes to what I was just saying. It's because of the blitzes.
Oh,
We
100%,
blitzed
yes.
so freaking much and so well, I think too. Jack Campbell was second in the NFL in sacks for linebackers. So like, you know, we were doing a really good job as a team getting to that quarterback. So what I only have an issue really is with Ali McNeil this year as a pass
Yep.
rusher or in general because he just did not do that well. And I don't necessarily think that's all on him. I mean, we were using him as a freaking 5 tech when he's 315 pounds. I mean, actually, yeah, we were using him as a 5 tech or even a 7 at times because of the outside shoulder of the tight end because sometimes he was playing defensive end for us. So it's
Oh,
just like
what if he went to Hutch's position at like a wide 9?
that'd be even worse. So it's like we're using a freaking 315-pound defensive tackle as our legitimate defensive end. Like that's just not a good thing. And I think that goes back to the point that, I guess have been making on this show that we need another edge rusher because we just
Oh,
do.
we do need that. I'm not saying we don't.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
just
just
didn't
think our
think it
pass
was-
rush was lackluster in terms of one-on-one winning other than Hutchinson. There was not
I
a
can
lot
agree
of
with that
one-on-one
part.
winning.
And For the record, I don't think our pass rush was awesome or elite.
Hmm.
However, there were so many people I've seen online say like it's garbage, it's trash, it's bottom five. I'm like, okay, it's not.
It quite
Like, don't get me
literally is
wrong.
not bottom five.
It's more statistically top five.
Hmm.
And like I said, yes, we would like to be able to get more pressures, more sacks with only sending the front four, of course. But it was still effective the way it was used.
Hmm.
And then going back quickly, since I have the numbers in front of me, to the small section of the fan base, I'll say, that doesn't watch the games and thought Aiden Hutchinson was a ghost. He was fourth on the season in sacks, so still top five after snapping his leg. And I'm not a big Pro Football Focus guy, but they're the source of this stat. He was the only player in the entire NFL, linebacker or DN, to have 100 pressures. So led the
Yep.
league in pressures, fourth in the league in sacks after breaking his leg and having little to no help. So I don't know why some people think he was a ghost. I think he looked like the all-star and all-pro that he is, and I'm very happy to have him here. And that's
Hmm.
also, once again, coming off his broken leg. That wasn't just like, oh, he had a leg injury. Like, some people, that might have been a career ender, and he comes back and has a career year after that.
Right.
So I can't wait until next year.
Well, and I do think, okay, and you might disagree, and I don't think you will, but I do think most of this hate is simply because how good fucking Miles Garrett's been this year, dude. Miles Garrett has been so good that people watch him and go, why don't we have that? Why don't we have a guy that has 23 sacks? Well, hey guys, because that happens once in a generation. That's why they're called generational. I don't know if you knew that or not, but they don't use generational on players that are just elite. Okay, Miles Garrett might actually be the best pass rusher ever, ever.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Miles Garrett. It's like that's kind of obviously there's more names to that list that you could argue, but
No, you're good.
oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me. I was like, I
No, I
can't hear
muted my
you,
mic.
brother.
I was
Oh, okay.
voice Google searching.
Gotcha. But yeah, Miles Garrett is different. Like, and look, can Hutchinson get to that point? Maybe, but to be fair, Miles Garrett is like freak athlete, technician. He's got all of it. And he's in his 30s, and he just had his best season. So pump your brakes a little bit, guys. I just think a lot of that, Hutch hate comes from seeing a guy who's doing it at an all-time high. Um, but with that being said, um, what?
I was looking up Miles Garrett career sack numbers, try
Mm-hmm.
to put him with the company. He has the exact same amount of sacks right now as Dwight Freeney in his career. And Dwight Freeney played an additional 5 seasons, if my math is mathing right now. So,
Yeah, he has the most sacks, I think, by the age of 30.
yeah,
Um,
he is right now, if he retired today, he is the 28th all time.
yeah,
And
he's an
he is at
absolute dog.
125. So if we add, because he had how many this year? 23?
23.
Okay. I'm just gonna say 20. Let's say he regresses a tiny bit. Next year he will be ninth all time,
Wow.
and he's got more than 1 year left in him. So I mean, I said all off season I would love to go get him. A
Me
D
and you
line of
both, brother.
D line of Garrett and Hutch. I'm 3 first round picks. I know it's gonna take a shit ton. Go get them. We'll figure it out.
I mean, dude, at this point, like,
We'll
if you
figure
told,
it
okay,
out.
look, if you told me, right, going into the year, that I could trade 2 first round picks and Miles Garrett would be healthy all season and have 23 sacks, I'd say, please, yes, please, let's do that. And this kind of takes me back to a article I wrote right after we signed Hutch to that big deal, where I compared Hutchinson in his career versus Miles Garrett to this point in their career. So in 2025, this was I want to say around like weeks. When did we give him that contract? Probably like halfway through the season,
Who is that,
something like
Hutch?
that. Yeah. I
I
cannot
think it was
remember, but I
slightly
feel like it
less.
was.
I want to say like week 5 or 6 off the top of
Oh,
my
here we
head.
go. October 31st. So literally Halloween, is when I put this out. So around then. So yeah, about week eight or so.
Okay.
But with that being said, this year at that point, Hutchinson. Let's see. Oop, I'm on the wrong one. Hutchinson was second in total PFF grade with 92.2. Garrett had the exact same total PFF grade at 92.2. Okay. Garrett blew his run defense grade out of the water with an 86.7 to Hutch's 69.7. But Hutch had 14 more pressures with 48 to Garrett's 34. Garrett had 3 more sacks at this point. Hutch had 7. Garrett had 11. But if you look at their career pressure rate, Garrett has about a 17%. Hutch has a 14. Garrett has a 3.2 sack rate. Hutch has a 2.6. So obviously, like, Garrett is better at this point, right? But Hutch is not really that far behind for a guy that, you could say is probably the best, definitely the best of this generation, but, he could be up there with the best of all time. So,
Oh yeah, and what basically like what you were saying also when you were like people watch Garrett and they're like, why don't the Lions have that? And you mentioned he's generational. I feel, and I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but I feel the same way kind of like golf. I feel like someone sees Lamar Jackson or Mahomes make a running throw or a nice run out of the pocket, and they're like, well, golf can't do that. And you're correct, he can't.
oh, yeah.
But he can do a lot of other things well. So I'm not a big fan of all this comparison in terms of the stylistically. That's why I like to do stats because there's many ways you can be productive. As long as you're productive.
Yeah. I mean, think of the
Touchdowns.
pressures. I mean, Hutch probably still had more pressures than Garrett this year.
He
Well,
did.
he did. You said he was first, so he did. But he had 10 more sacks. I mean, that just goes to
Oh,
show you that I would almost say pressures, and don't get me wrong, we all know sacks are the most valuable because you're tackling the quarterback. But I would say pressures are almost as valuable because you're applying pressure on the quarterback, forcing him to throw the ball. Like, I would love to see how many times Hutch forces the quarterback to throw the ball away and add that to his sacks and do the same with Garrett and then see what I'm saying, what the difference would
yeah,
be.
you're still affecting the play. In fact,
Yeah.
here, let me see right here. The what's Miles Garrett had 84 pressures according to the same report, and
Okay.
Hutchinson had exactly 100.
Gotcha. So yeah, 16 more. So a decent amount. I mean, and that's the thing, Miles Garrett is he's obviously getting doubled at the same rate, but if you watch a lot of his like highlights, he does get a decent amount of one-on-ones for some odd reason. I don't know why that is, but like I watched a play the other day where he just had a one-on-one with the left tackle and just blew by him and sacked the quarterback. It was actually the Joe Burrow sack, the winning or
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, was that against the
record
Lions? Because I know
sacks.
he destroyed Decker.
He was that no, that was Parsons, I think.
Oh, was
Because
it Parsons? Okay,
I don't think Garrett had a sack against us actually.
it might have been. Oh,
Surprisingly.
you know what? It was Parsons. I love Decker, but I mean, I remember it
Yeah.
was an elite DN just destroyed him. I'm like, well,
Yeah. Yeah, that was ugly. I remember seeing that and was just like,
that's what it was.
But with that being said, moving on.
Real quick, 1 second.
Oh yeah,
Sorry to cut you off.
no problem.
In the same article, since we're on it, in the Pro Football Focus era, there have been 6 total seasons where a player has had 100 or more pressures in a season.
Wow,
Hutchinson owns 2 of those 6 seasons.
dog.
Last year in 2023. So
Yeah, so I mean,
I just wanted to throw that in there. So
you
basically, if
want
he
to know why
didn't
he
break
didn't
his
in
leg maybe 3 years
2024?
straight.
I was gonna say, you know why he didn't in 2024? Because he snapped his freaking leg in half. So, but yeah, that I honestly am not that surprised by that stat, just because like we started this conversation with, if you watch the games, you can see it. He just dominates. And yeah, he might not be the most bendy guy, which he does make a lot of bendy moves, but he can run through you most of the time. Like, you
His
see
spin
him just
move's
run
gotten so
through
much
guys.
better.
Oh yeah, I feel like all of his moves are getting better, and that's what you really want to see out of a guy at his age, coming off of his injury. Like, he's starting to become a technician, and that'll really carry him through his career. But with that being said, moving on to the offensive line, and you kind of was a good segue there with Decker. Sounds like Taylor Decker's retiring, man. Like, I genuinely don't see him coming back. I feel like I watched a video of him a couple years ago when Matt Patricia was still here, and he was talking about how he like has a second house in Arizona because I know that shivers up your spine there with
Yeah.
that Matt Patricia. Um, but he had another house in Arizona where essentially he was saying, "Yeah, man, I moved here because I don't like the winter. I don't like Michigan, basically, and how the weather is or whatever." And he was saying because I come down here to get physical therapy because my doctor lives here and da da da, just makes it easier. And that was a long time ago. Like I said, that was when Patricia was here. So if he's been dealing with injuries this long that have been nagging him to the point where he had to buy a second home where his doctor lives, I am like, all right, man, I get it. Like, go ahead, do your thing, get out of here. You got paid, you made your money. You know, what else do you got to prove? I mean, I guess to win a Super Bowl, but the Lions are on a downward trajectory right now in everyone's eyes. I'm not that worried, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think that it's going to be, we're going to just be 7-10 or whatever next year. That's not, I don't think that happens unless some huge injury happens, which, knock on wood. But with that being said, I don't know. I'm just at the point now where I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It would be upset, but do your thing, man. I'm not going to be mad at you. With that being said, though, like I mentioned before, Miles Frazier might be able to step in there at left tackle, and that would be beautiful because that means we really only need a center or a right guard, I guess, if you put Ratledge there. But I'm not really convinced that Ratledge is going to play center. I kind of feel like Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell both agree he looks really good at right guard, and there's no real reason to move him from there when we can go get a center this draft in the second or even probably third round, I would say, that can start right away and do the job. I know you're questioning that, but
I'm just questioning you saying the third round because we don't have a third round pick.
yet we don't
Fair
yet.
enough.
Aaron
Fair
Glenn,
enough.
I think, gives us a third round pick this year, comp pick. No,
We traded it.
we traded a comp pick we don't have. Oh no, yep, you're right because
Tesla.
because I forgot since we got them both at once because he was hired. I forgot that's how they do that. So yeah, we should still get a comp pick for Carlton Davis though. It would probably be a fourth rounder, but either way, I would not be that surprised if we traded up into the third round because you know how Brad Holmes likes to move around. Um, but just speaking in terms of value pick that you can where you can get these players, I do think there are a few guys that you could get in those mid rounds that could start right away. So I'm not too worried about that. I would prefer that honestly to moving Ratledge, putting Frazier at guard, and then having to draft a tackle. Because I'm sorry, a tackle you kind of have to draft in the first round for them to step in day one and actually do the job the way you need. Like the Lions can't afford growing pains, man. We just can't at center or left tackle. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And well, with that being said, do you want to add anything on the Decker retirement before we move on?
No, not really. It's kind of like Ragnall's retirement. I've accepted it. It sucks because he's a good player and he's been here forever, but
Hmm.
it's time. Like it kind of reminds me, granted it wasn't a retirement, of when the Lions traded away Golden Tate. Like he's still a good player and everything, but it's the business side of it, and Decker's case, it's the personal side of it. You're beat up. Like I don't know if you saw the interview post game in the locker room, and he was mentioning
Yeah.
how he wants to play like catch with his kid, and he can't even lift his arm over his head, and he's only 31 or whatever. Like this in the game of life, he is young. He is like
Yeah.
he's made his money. You've done more than your service, and he mentioned that if he came back for another year, even though he wants to, he said it would be selfish of him and not thinking about his family and whatnot. So I
Hmm.
do 100% think he's gone. No ill will. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. This game is only temporary.
Hmm.
And I'm glad you mentioned Frazier at left tackle because for whatever reason, I did not think about that. And he
I don't think
has.
most people are, honestly. Like, the only reason I thought about it was because I was just mentally, like, moving the offensive line around because I was trying to come up with the best, way to do it
Five
without
players.
without having to draft, a guy necessarily or go sign a guy because we just don't have the assets at this point. And I thought that was the best way in my head. Now, if he can't do it, that's a different story. But I mean, he did it in college
Yeah, I
14 times.
remember.
So,
I can't. Okay, I'm like I don't remember the exact stats, but I know when we drafted him, I looked up the stats, and he has made starts at every O-line position other than center. So he
mhm.
started at left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. So he is versatile. And in my opinion, in the or small sample size, he looked pretty good. And unfortunately, I wasn't very fond of Mahogany the last couple weeks.
Mhm.
So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. But like you mentioned, that could at least give us a on the roster possibility.
Mhm.
Because I know we also probably don't want Skipper to be a long-term starter or anything like that. But he even mentioned that this might be his final year as well because he has some medical issue with his back that he says he has to wait for results from.
Mhm.
And even though he's not a starter, he's pivotal and he always plays that 6-0 lineman and that goal line guy. So that's just another blow to the O line, unfortunately.
Which, to be fair, I do think Manu should be able to step up and take Skipper's spot. Probably not Decker, though, to be fair.
Oh yeah, I
I think Manu like actually looked good as a run blocker. It's the pass blocking where he really struggles, which I mean you can kind of expect that. He's 6'8", like 340 or some shit. So like he's a big boy and he can move people, but the pass blocking needs a lot of work. So I could see him kind of playing that role. But you know, whatever case may be, we have to go get a starting offensive lineman in some way, shape, or form, whatever, you know, position that may be. So it's gonna kind of be a I said it last year off season, but this is the biggest off season of Brad Holmes' career easily. Like I know it was last year was, but now this trumps it by so much because dude, we just missed the playoffs. So now you got to go get back to the drawing board and basically retool a team that you thought was probably going to be in the NFC Championship this year, which is just kind of crazy to say. But with that being said, moving on to our last talking point of the day, the Lions have officially fired John Morton, which, look, call me crazy, but I feel like we did this 10 weeks ago. I feel like we just didn't fire him that day, but he really, I don't know if he's really been doing much. Obviously, he's probably been, you know, helping coach, but it's like you you kind of got fired already. This was just the official, you know, you're off the staff. But with that being said, there are quite a bit of, you know, offensive coordinator, you know, potential guys that are out there. And actually, the Lions just interviewed David Blau, the ex quarterback, which I look, man, do I love it? No. Do I think it's stupid? No. I actually kind of like it because think about it, man. Who's gonna know a NFL offense better than the guy who is a backup quarterback for a decade? Like, and a lot of people have been talking about him uh, as if he's going to be an offensive coordinator in the next few years. Like, my question is, would you rather take a risk on a young guy and possibly end up getting, you know, a Sean McVay, or take a guy like John Morton? You know what I mean? Where it's like he'd probably
uh,
do all right.
out of those two, Blau. But I mean, if you just want to go with a backup quarterback route, I'm sure Dan Orlovsky would want to be an OC or something.
I would
But
see that's the thing though. Dan Orlovsky hasn't done it. He hasn't coached at all. So it's like I feel like
Blau's
there's a
got
lot of
1 year.
it's better than what Orlovsky's got. Orlovsky just talks on TV. Like, and that's the thing. Look, man, he's a backup quarterback, so he knows football and he knows an offense. Does not mean he knows how to set up a game plan. He doesn't know how to scheme it. He doesn't know how to, you
I've
know,
watched some of his stuff. I agree. He does not know how to do that.
and that's the thing. I wasn't even saying that based off of that, but I mean, I guess point and you know case rested. But no, point being, I don't hate the David Blau thing because I have heard a lot of good things about him. From you know, I want to say around the NFL, but I didn't hear it from NFL people. But I've seen a lot of different stuff around on Twitter from different teams and things that it's been pretty positive overall. So I don't hate that, but I'm just gonna quickly rattle off some names that I personally really like. I'm not even going to say every name because I'm writing this article that is going to come out pretty soon. 5 things the Lions need to do to win a Super Bowl next year. So keep an eye out for that. Now, Pete Carmichael, who is a current Denver assistant. This one I like, but I don't love. I like it because he's had a lot of experience. He was the Saints offensive coordinator for 14 years from '09 to 2023. Yeah, he was there with Sean Payton and Dan Campbell. So him and Dan Campbell have close ties. And then he went
So
over to Denver.
Downgate. No, I'm just fucking.
I mean, yeah, technically, I guess technically, but he's an offensive
I've
coach, so it doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't, but I've seen so many people, well, I shouldn't say people, so many trolls link Dan Campbell in his time there, so
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just throwing shade at the trolls that probably aren't even watching anyways, but
right. Um, but with that being said, he has some history with Dan Campbell. He's currently in Denver, and they're one of the better offenses. He is an assistant coach there though, so hasn't called plays since he was in New Orleans, which doesn't I don't love personally. So that one I kind of like but don't love. My favorite one though, I have two that I think are kind of tied. Okay, I really, really, really like the idea of Brian Dable. I feel like him and Dan Campbell go way back. Brian actually interviewed Campbell back in the day in 2011 at the Dolphins when Campbell applied there, and Brian to this day said is the most entertaining and like the best experience he's ever had at a job interview. Because how Dan Campbell just passionately, he said he got up and like was smacking walls at one point and all types of shit, the shit you'd
that
expect
sounds like
from Dan
him.
Campbell. Yeah, so like I think they go way back, and that makes a lot of sense for a multitude of reasons. On top of that, like he's just a good offensive mind. He's been a head coach. I feel like he might not have done a great job in New York, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he kind of got a little bit of the blame that he not necessarily should have gotten because Joe Schoen, I think, hasn't done a great job over there giving him talent to work with. I mean, they just got a freaking quarterback and they fire him. So it's like, what do you expect the offensive guy to do when you give him a quarterback and then get rid of his ass? Like Daniel Jones, Brian Dable knew Daniel Jones wasn't the guy. I don't know if you watched that freaking Hard Knocks or not, but it seemed like Brian Dable didn't love the fact that they went and got they signed Daniel Jones to that contract. So just saying,
He did okay in Indy until he got hurt.
he did, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think anybody saw that coming
No,
necessarily,
God,
but
no.
I've always been a Daniel Jones supporter. I think because I feel like the potential has always been there, and when you can run like that too, it's like okay, it's kind of intriguing. But with that being said, we know why Brian Dable. He was a head coach and all those things. And then another one that I really, really love is Kevin Stefanski for the same reasons as Dable, outside of the fact that because him and Campbell don't really have ties together, but proven head coach, proven play caller. He will come in here. We have all the weapons, and I think that would be a huge upgrade for our staff in general because, Dan Campbell needs some help managing the game sometimes. Look, man, we all got our downfalls, and I think Dan Campbell, specifically when he's calling plays, struggles with clock management and game management at times. And then another few that I like. I'm just going to rattle these off. I'm not going to go too much in depth. Cliff Kingsbury, for obvious reasons, but he just got fired. So we'll see what happens there. He's getting some head coach interviews. Same thing with Stefanski. That's one of those that if he doesn't get a head coach job, I could see him coming over here. And then I also like Todd Monken. I like Brian Callahan, but I don't love it. The ex-Titans head coach. And then the in-house guys like Hank Fraley and Scotty Montgomery are both kind of intriguing. But again, I don't really look, man. I think most Lions fans can agree with me at this point. I don't want another in-house hire. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I don't. I want to see someone brought in from somewhere else because we need something new. We need something fresh. Like,
Question real quick for you. Would Blau be considered an inside hire? I know
no.
he is 1 year in Washington, but obviously a lot of people link him from his time in Detroit.
I would say no, simply
Okay.
because he did not coach here. Like
Okay.
it's a lot different when you're playing versus coaching. Like you could say he's a familiar face or whatever, but in terms of just I want to see Dan Campbell find someone outside of our building because I think that's one thing I will say that I don't love about Dan Campbell so far in his tenure is outside of that first year, right? And even Anthony Lynn didn't do very well and got fired by the halftime. But outside of that first year, he has not done a great job of hiring staff outside of the building. He obviously got Choice from Texas, the running backs coach, which that was a really good hire. But other than that, there hasn't been, a ton of influx. Like Rule, however you say that guy's name, he was here and then he's leaving. So it's like that does I don't know if I really count that because he's already gone. So just I want to see some more young faces brought in that have a different way of thinking, that can kind of spice up the offense and make it their own thing. Because I think Ben Johnson, like we know he was an in-house hire,
Yep.
but I wouldn't necessarily say it was an in-house hire because that was from the guy before Dan Campbell was there. So like he just promoted him, but he saw what he had. I mean, he got there,
Yep.
interviewed him, and said, "Oh, I see what I got, and I'm going to keep that." So I don't know. That's just where I'm at with the staff and everything like that with offensive coordinators. So, what are your thoughts on the OC search?
The name, excuse me, the name that you said that intrigues me the most is Stefanski.
I can
I
tell by your
know.
reaction.
Well, I've gotten a lot of, I don't want to say hate, but I'll say pushback online whenever I mention them. Because people will say, well, did you see the Browns offense? Their defense wasn't the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But are we gonna really try to sit here and say they have the same talent we have?
I mean, they don't have the same talent at any position, literally.
So was it a coaching error, or was it Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback? And Judkins did a pretty good job for a rookie, but he's not kids. Their tight end did a pretty good job, but he's not healthy Laporta. Their best receivers probably are wide receiver 3 or 4. So give Stefanski a better talent, and I'm sure he can work with it. To be honest, I think 90% of people coaching experience or not should be able to do something with this offense.
I mean, look, dude, I like Stefanski simply because I was at their Thursday night game against the New York Jets when Joe Flacco was their starting quarterback and they put up 40 points. Okay. That's all I feel like I needed to see. I'm like, oh, okay. He like David Njoku had like 160 receiving yards that game. So obviously, I feel like he knows what he's doing for sure.
He does. He was not the problem in Cleveland, in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just my 2 cents. And then, I mean, I wouldn't mind Munkin, but at the same time, he's like a newer name, so I gotta dig a little bit on that. But when it comes to, because I would consider Ben Johnson a inside hire, as you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, Anthony Lynn kind of coached like 4 games, and when he was effectively fired, it's kind of just like Morton. So it's like our two outside hires for OC have maybe one and done combined between them because they each only did like a half to a quarter of a season. But I don't know if I want a fresh face like Blau because I mean, even the legendary coach has got to start somewhere. He might go and make someone very happy. Like Kellen Moore was very impressive early on in his coaching career and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel with the amount of vets we have on that side of the ball and whatnot, I would probably aim at Stefanski or someone that's been there, done that, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I agree there. Personally, I want somebody who has head coach experience also. Like, obviously, you can't always get that, but I would really like that to be a necessity for us this time. Like, because I said before, the management things and just being able to have a new voice in the room that's done it before. I think would really help us out. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for a plethora of reasons, kind of similar to last year. But this year, I feel like we need to get certain things in order to get over the hump. So it's going to be fun to see. But with that being said, moving on to our last topic of the day, the NFL playoffs are upon us. And the Detroit Lions are not in them for the first time since 2022. With that being said, the playoffs kick off this Saturday at 4:30. We have the Rams at the Panthers, which, okay, let's be realistic here. If the Panthers somehow don't lose by 20, I'll be surprised.
I mean, they already beat them once this year.
Yeah, but it's different. It's playoff football. And it's like, and I know you're being facetious, but it's like, it's one of those things that's like, look, I know it's any given Sunday, but the Rams should absolutely win this game. And if they don't, whoo boy, there might be some changes over there in LA because, and I'm not saying coaches are going to be fired or anything like that.
I'll say then we can just hire McVay.
I think most likely, and we might talk about this a little bit later. They what?
Sorry, it just went in my head. If all that falls down, let's say they fire McVay, which they won't, but and like we can hire him to coach our offense. I'm like, I wonder what he can do with Goff.
Yeah,
Sorry, so that's just where my head went. My bad. Carry on.
good point though. Oh, where was I? um, shoot. Oh,
My bad.
no, you're good. You're good. I could see Stafford deciding to retire and the Rams trading for Joe Burrow. Just saying. I'm gonna just throw that out there. Do
Ooh,
it. Let's do it all over again, baby.
damn, Burrow and Puka.
And he's only 29. When they traded for Stafford, he was already 32. So
Yeah, but
just saying.
Burrow's body might be 32.
I don't know, man. Stafford was getting pretty banged up too. He obviously didn't have as many season-ending injuries, but either way,
No, yeah,
I think
young
that'd
Stafford
be
took so many hits when he was first got here.
yeah. But either way, that'd be very very intriguing to me. But with
I
that
like
being
that.
said, I do expect the Rams to win this game, and then following up. We have the Packers at Bears, which is your game of the week. So I'll let you go ahead and cover this one.
It's, um, I don't even know which way I want to lean on this because the Bears are obviously hosting, so they have to go to Soldier Field. They played already twice within the last like month and a half. Both their games were on the latter half of the season, and obviously division NFC North division matchup. And I don't know who I want to win, to be honest with you. Because on one hand, I want
I wish there was
the
ties in the playoffs for
I
this
know,
game.
right? On one hand, I don't want the Bears to win. Like that's for sure. I don't want Ben Johnson to leave us and then get a playoff win in his first year out.
I
That
think
would
he's
annoy
gonna.
me.
I think he's gonna.
That would annoy me. And at the same time, Packers,
No
even
Parsons.
though yeah, that's true. But the Bears are still the Bears, even at home.
I don't think we can say that right now, James. We can't say the Bears are the Bears while we're sitting at home.
But we swept them.
I don't give a fuck. We
Like
are
I have
sitting
Bears
at
fans
home.
whenever I talk bad about the Bears online, they're like, "Well, who's in the playoffs right now?" And I'm like, "Well, if
Oh,
we're so bad, you couldn't beat us."
trust me, dude. I had a security guard at my job that we talk shit all the time because he's a Bears fan. And before winter break, he was like, "You know, them Lions gonna have you crying on Christmas Day." And I was like, "Man, shut up." And you know, and then when I got back, I was wearing my Tesla shirt jersey. And I just walked by, unzipped my jacket, and I said, ah. And I was like, we might be sitting at home, but we're 2-0 against y'all. And,
Yeah,
you
I'm like
know,
between the Bears fans and Packers fans, one of them is going to have the same amount of playoff wins as we do. So
we
at
have
least I
two.
can take some. What's that?
We have two.
I meant this year, or I
Oh,
should, yeah,
right.
because this year
True.
we have zero, and one of those two are going to have zero.
Right.
So no,
See,
yes,
that's
we
how
have two. We
sad
got that
Lions
monkey off
fans
our
are.
back.
We were sitting there. I thought you were saying playoff wins, period, in the
Oh no,
last
no.
few years. I'm like, we got two, brother. I was there for
I did
them. I
not
promise.
forget that. Those were the only two in my life.
Man, it's so
Oh
sad.
my God. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. And that was another thing when, you know what, I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But yeah, so this should be a good game. We'll see what happens without Parsons and all that. Um, but either way, it's a win-win and a lose-lose because one of our division rivals is going to get kicked out of the playoffs and be one and done, and that's going to be a pleasure to see,
Hmm.
regardless of which team it is. And unfortunately, for the same exact reasons, one of our division rivals is going to be moving on to the next round. And I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens, and may the best team win. Hopefully, it's at least an entertaining game.
Yeah, and I think Chicago's going to take this one, unfortunately. I've been saying it ever since I saw the matchup. I just don't see the Packers without Micah pulling this game off, man. Maybe their offense can score enough because let's be real right now. The Bears defense has been one of those defenses that they get a lot of turnovers, and that's just not sustainable. So we'll see how it keeps going in the playoffs. But kind of like how the Lions defense was last year, if you think about it. Like we were getting a ton of turnovers, but we weren't really that good statistically.
I would love the Bears to lose like Baltimore on a missed last-second field goal.
That would be hilarious. And honestly, I think at this point, I would prefer the Packers to win
I would
simply
have too.
because then Ben Johnson doesn't have a playoff win.
I would too.
So
The Ben Johnson effect factor, whatever you want to call it, as well as the Bears won the division. So if the Bears won the division, we can give Packers the playoff win or whatever.
mhm.
And as much as obviously I hate the Packers, I will say I am a pretty big fan of Tom Grassi, and he's a Packers fan. So since I don't have a dog in this fight, at least one of my favorite content creators can be happy for a day or a week.
Right,
But
right. And then moving on to the Bills Jaguars game Sunday at 1 o'clock. That should be a pretty good one as well. I don't know who's going to win this game, honestly. I could see it going either way. This is kind of the first one for me, at least, that I'm like, ooh, this should be a very, very good game. Um, I do feel like I feel like it might be the Bills' year. Okay, I think they might
hmm,
win it this year because, it would be the year for Josh Allen when Patrick Mahomes ain't in here. So just saying, it seems like he's the only guy that stopped, Josh Allen in the playoffs. So uh, then again, I mean, I would not be surprised if the Jaguars won simply because they are playing very, very well, especially the last few weeks. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been playing out of his mind. Their defense has been really good. So we'll see how that goes. But actually, this is my game of the week because, like I said, I think this is going to be a very, very good matchup, and it's really hard for me to pick who's going to win. I don't think I can, to be honest with you. If I had to bet, it would be the Bills, but like, man, Jacksonville, and that's simply because I just have a feeling that the Bills are going to make it all the way this year. But Jacksonville probably is a more complete team right now, so I would not be surprised at all if they pulled it out. Um, and then 49ers Eagles, I will hand that over to you um, for a quick synopsis or whatever you want to call it.
for the 49ers and Eagles, I just hope I don't know who's going to win. I think the 49ers, and I hope I'm actively rooting for the 49ers in this game. I don't care that they kicked us out of the playoffs 2 years ago, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
I can't stand Philly or their fans. I'm not a big fan of the tush push and their play style, and um, it's Sirianni. Is that their coach's name? He's I'll just say not my cup of tea. And so I really hope the 49ers pull
Oh,
this one out.
you mean you don't like when he was yelling in the tunnel telling fans to shut the fuck up after they
Exactly.
beat him?
And there were clips of him, whatever year they won the Super Bowl. Um, like red lights, fans were taking like TikToks and crap of him, and he was yelling like obscenities. And don't get me wrong, if you watch the show, I use that language too, but I'm not a professional NFL coach. Like he just has zero amount of professionalism, in my opinion. And
Well, to be
over,
fair, Philly, bro, Philly eats that shit up.
he's perfect for Philly, and I can't stand anything Philly based. Outside of
I
the
love me a
NFC
cheesesteak.
North,
Love me a cheesesteak.
I've honestly never had one.
You've
They
never
look.
had a cheesesteak?
I've never had a Philly cheesesteak.
Are you fucking kidding me, brother?
I am not, man.
And I don't mean from Philadelphia. I just mean in general.
I know, but like I know, I won't use any brand names, but a local sub shop I know sells them, and the picture of them always looks great, but I just never got one.
Wow. That's breaking news, folks. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. You heard it here first.
I'll tell you what, if they win the Super Bowl, I'll try one.
There we go. How about if they lose this game, you'll try one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's a win-win for you, brother.
Is it?
Yes,
Like I said, they
100%.
look good. If it's one of those things where if it's as good as the picture, one is it ever? But if it's as good as the picture, okay, you're nodding, so yeah, maybe it will be.
If you
But
go to a good spot, I guess depends on where you
okay,
where you get it. But
and then yeah, so I just really hope in San Francisco wins, and I've kind of admired them from afar this year just because they kind of remind me of the 15-2 Lions, where they are having a hell of a season despite countless injuries.
hmm
I mean, hell, even I'm not a big Purdy fan, and I think he's kind of a quarterback who excels with the pieces around him because he has the Kittles, although not right now, the McCaffreys, and a great team around him. But even when he was out, I mean, Mac Jones took over and was looking pretty good with the same stuff around him. And yes,
I just have to say this. So you think he's Jared Goff? Sorry,
No, I would
had
take
to.
golf 10 times
I
out of
know
10.
that. I know
But
that. I'm saying like my version of Goff.
somewhat, in terms of where everything has to be perfect around him, yes. Um, I kind of, I don't want to say laugh because I don't want to make this like a Purdy burn fest, because especially since I'm actively rooting for him to beat Philly. But eh, when you can sit out and have Mac Jones take over your spot, and there were some
Hmm.
people saying like, do with how hot Mac Jones was, do you even put Purdy in when he's healthy? Because the
Right.
offense didn't skip a beat. And it's like if you can, I don't want to say get rid of Purdy, but if you can save $42 million a year on the books because Mac Jones was playing identical numbers pretty much, that's just something you take into consideration when everything this day and age with everything so cap heavy. But anyways, I hope San Francisco wins, and I did want to quickly touch on, and I will keep it quick, on your Jacksonville matchup because Jacksonville is my adopted AFC team for these playoffs. I've liked them. I've made all the connections in past podcasts. I won't go through the rant again. But I was hoping them or Buffalo, when I saw which teams made the playoffs, would win it this year because Buffalo's been four times and never won it.
Hmm.
And Jacksonville, in my opinion, is like the AFC Lions. My whole life, they haven't really done much. And then I found out they're playing each other. So, whoever wins this, I honestly hope wins it all. But in my opinion, I do think Jacksonville takes that game. I think they're the more complete team. And as much as Josh Allen has his beyond elite games, I know he had that one game this year. He had three passing touchdowns, three rushing touchdowns. There's sometimes he just vanishes, unfortunately. And I know it's been in the past, like you said, when he faces Mahomes, but I feel like the Jaguars right now are the hot team, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I definitely can't disagree with any of that because they are coming into this one of the hottest teams in the league, and I will say the same thing. Like I said last week, Jacksonville's always been kind of one of my I was gonna I was gonna say side pieces. Simply because I've always liked them. My family's from Florida, but like you said, they're kind of like the Lions and could never figure it out. And I also liked the fact that they were an expansion team. I don't know why, but I just like that idea. So I think Jacksonville. I was kind of up in the air between Jacksonville and Denver or LA for my playoff team, simply because I don't want to pick one in the NFC. Um,
Yeah,
so
I'm definitely
I
going
might
AFC with that.
I might jump on that same boat with you and go Jacksonville. But with that being said, the second to last game, Sunday Night Football, Chargers at Patriots. This should also be a very, very good game. I do expect the Patriots to win, though, if I'm being honest with you. Obviously, they have a better record, but I will say, their record has a lot to do with the strength of schedule that they had not being very good. However, they are still a very good team because every time they played those bad teams, they blew them out, it seemed like. So LA's coming into this game, banged up. Obviously, they're both of their starting tackles. So I just feel like that's too much to overcome when you're in the playoffs. And going up against a team like New England. So I do expect New England to win this game, but it should be a pretty good ending to the weekend. But our last game, which I personally hate that they have Monday Night Football playoff. That is just irritating as shit as someone who has to get up early in the morning. I wish I could watch the whole game, but I probably won't be able to. We have Houston at Pittsburgh, which I think they made a mistake putting this game as the Monday night game because I'll tell you what, if you wanted anybody to watch it, they're not gonna because this is the one playoff game, honestly, that I look at and go, okay, I guess. I guess we're gonna watch that. And I expect Houston to win that game pretty easily, if I'm being honest with you, because that defense is just aggressive and they get after the quarterback. And Rodgers, I don't see him being able to do a lot in that game. And I do think that the Steelers' defense is going to struggle as well. So we'll see how it goes. But the NFL playoffs are officially here. Do you have anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, but I agree with what you said on both. I expect Houston and New England to win those games.
All right. With that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys for watching. If you need more sports memorabilia, sports apparel, jerseys, t-shirts, hats, whatever you need, Fanatics, the link is in the description. Click that link. It will help us out while helping you out with some cool stuff. Also, you can find me at JSoSweet, James at Gullet_James, and both of us at MIFB Network and MichiganFootballNetwork.com. As always, we appreciate you guys for watching, and we will see you next week.